Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we will have a look at a new SDK which was introduced last year in WWDC 2023. And it's called TipKit. With TipKit, you can add tips to your app and guide your user to new features, tell them how to use something, maybe show or give them a hint to a hidden feature, or maybe a feature he can see directly in the app, for example. And also maybe you can get rid of your normal onboarding flow with this SDK, but that is up to you. So if you're interested in get to know how to use this SDK, stay here and watch the video. Let's start. First of all, let's have a look at the example app. It's the same app we used in another video before where I talked about the content unavailable view, but I guide you through that once more. So the app you can see here in the preview, it has a navigation stack and in it a content unavailable view at the moment. I have a plus button. When I tap on it, I can add random countries. And when I'm out of countries, then I just add a random one with new country and a number. What I also can do, I can remove a country by sliding to the side and use the delete method. Yeah, that's it. That's the basic example app, which we will adjust now to use TipKit. Now, how we do it is, so first, it's an SDK, so we have to import it. And after that, we have to define our tip, our first tip. So how do we do that? The requirement we have for a tip is to implement the tip protocol. So we start with a struct. Let's say we want to tell the user how to create a list entry. So I would call it create country tip, and we have to implement the tip protocol. So let's have a look at the protocol, what we need. And as we can see here, it's available with iOS 17, tvOS 17, Vision 1.0, so probably interesting in the future. And what are the requirements? We need an ID, a title, message, and image. And the ID, because it's identifiable and sendable, the system assigns automatically an ID, so we don't have to do that. So we have a title, an optional message, an optional image. That's it for now. So let's add it. Title, it's a text, and we say, how would we call it? We say create country. So that's the title. And then we could say we add the optional message. So let's start with it. We add all directly the complete stuff. So we say tap on the plus button to add a random country to the list. And we say we add also an image, and I would say we use an SF simple. So we take the system name initializer and we say map.fill. So with that, we have a create country tip. What's wrong here? Of course, it's not only a string, it has to be a text. So now we have to initialize the SDK and initialize it so we can use our tips. So we do a basic empty initializer on the view, and we can say tip, that's the SDK name, and then we have a configure method, and we start without configuration. So we just say plain start the SDK, and it can throw, so we just say try. And because we have a normal initializer which can fail, and I do just for showing and For the example purpose, I would add a question mark so the compiler is happy. And that's the basic setup when we want to display something. Now we have to add this tip to some UI elements. But first I would create an actual tip. So we do a private var and call it create country tip. It's a create country tip, and we just initialize it. That's it. Now we can use it. And where do we want to add it? So we would explain that the user should use the plus button to add an entry. So I will add it to the button. It's here, it's in the toolbar. And how we can add it, first option is we can present a tip as a popover. And TipKit brings an extension on the view. So I can just say popover tip and just give it a tip. So create country. And as soon as the preview re-renders, you can directly see in the preview that the tip is shown. And you see the small arrow pointing to the button because we added it as a popover. And we have our little map icon, a title, and a text. And now, what happens, because the user actively discarded it, so TipKit says, okay, the user has seen the text and the tip, so we don't show it again. So when I do an adjustment here and build it again and restart the preview, the tip will not be shown. So when you develop an app, that's a little bit awkward to delete the app every time and start all over. For that, we have additional methods on the SDK. So we can say tips, and then we have some more methods. For example, we can say reset data store. If we call that one, the data store, which contains the information which tip was shown to the user and which not and stuff like that, gets deleted. So every tip will show up again. So to show it, I just added it here. And then when the preview restarts, the app should be shown again. Yeah, here it is. And when I discard it and rerun, then it's every time it's shown again. So, but that we don't want that one. So what else can we do? We can say, if we want to test specifically the create country tip, we have also a method which is called show tips for testing or show all tips for testing. So here we can say show tips for testing, and we add our create country tip, but not the instance itself. So we have to provide type. So country tip.self. And now the SDK knows a create country tip should be shown every time. But to this topic, it gets useful later on. Maybe not in this video, maybe in future videos. I will come back to this method. That's it for the first video about the TipKit SDK. In later videos, we will talk about additional stuff we can do with the TipKit SDK and the different types of tips. So stay tuned and bye-bye.